I'd like to introduce Alan, our partner at Deal Room, who will guide us through. Alan, floor is yours.
Thanks. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet all of you. Before I start, just a little bit about Deal Room and also about how we gather data to basically preempt about 30 to 40 questions that you would probably have written down otherwise. So Deal Room is a global data provider. We are located in the Netherlands, which is also where I am from Amsterdam. And we work today with over 110 different ecosystem partners across the world to provide platforms similar to the one I'm about to demo for all of you, as well as managing our own global data platform, which is more geared towards investors and researchers and universities to gather some global data. Our data comes from four main sources. The first one is our own algorithms who basically look for any bit of open source information and data on the web, and that helps us build and maintain and update profiles, anything from company websites to news to social media. Then we have our network of partners, which I've mentioned, who share data with us. Obviously, data that they're allowed and comfortable sharing. For example, a government may share the list of grants that they've given. An investor may be some data about their portfolio companies, etc. Then we have our community, which is something I'll also emphasize during the demo. Every entity on our database, be it a startup, an investor, a university, can be claimed by the people who founded it or work there, obviously pending our verification. And once that's done, then those who claim their profile can add data directly to the platform, which again, we verify. And they can also, for example, a startup can upload a pitch deck or a business deck if they so choose. Finally, some of the data points that you're going to see today come from third-party data partners, for example, things like patent data or web traffic. And if it is a third-party data provider, then that is always mentioned somewhere with an asterisk. All right, let me share my screen and we can start. All righty. Can everyone see my screen? Give me like a thumbs up or like a... Yeah, all right. Thank you, Zach. Thanks. All righty. So hopefully by now everyone has the link to the platform. If anyone's working on two screens, then feel free to open the platform on the other screen and basically follow what I do. That tends to work quite well. So the first page I'm going to show you guys is the partners page. This is basically the home page. So again, once you've typed in or clicked a hyperlink, this is where you're going to get to. Few interesting things here. Basically, these four options. One is about adding your own organization. If it is not there, sometimes we may have missed something if it's a very new startup or something else. So you can always click this one and talk to us. The next one is becoming a partner. Clicking this will bring you to a page where you can leave your details if you're interested in what we call the ecosystem partnership program, basically data in return for larger or access to our global data platform. If that's interesting to you, please use that one. The third one is where the data come from. It's exactly what I've just explained, but you can always revisit. And our knowledge base, including our taxonomy and everything else, can be viewed from the glossary and definitions part. Up next is our dashboard, which is basically an aggregated page for kind of high-level data on the upstate New York area. Up top, we'll have our map where you can click specific regions and get the data relevant for those regions, if it's investments, funding rounds, or employee numbers. And of course, you can always click either the number or the link down below, which will take you to a different tool, which I'm going to show you in a bit. Good thing to remember is that most of these, almost every number or kind of definition you see on this platform is a hyperlink to somewhere where the data is. Down below on the dashboard, we have our lists of startups, breakouts, and scale-ups divided by the levels of funding. So up to 15 mil, between 15 and 100, and over 100 mil. These update whenever kind of new or more, hotter, more interesting startups come around. So worth checking this from time to time and see what's changed. Even further below are your personal data cards. So for you guys who have yet to use the platform, all of this will be empty. That's not a bug. What this does is it learns from what you do on this platform. For example, you can save searches and save lists, and I'll show you how to do that a bit later on. And once you've done one or two of those, then the other data cards, like recent rounds and new companies, will start to get updated by data that's relevant based on your searches and lists. You can also add some more data cards here. So there's a lot of options, and I do encourage you to play with it, see what works for you. You can save them. If you have one that you're not really interested in, then you can always hover over it, click the pencil icon, and then remove it or reorganize the whole thing. So this is really your own personal area to do whatever you want with. Next up is our curated content page. It's number 3 on the menu here. This is where we've got a few charts related to Upstate New York, some tidbits of interesting information made by our own research team at the room. We've got a pretty substantial research team. And these, of course, are updated pretty much automatically. You'll see that Q2 is the last one. We haven't, I think, done Q3 yet for all of these, but we will do soon. And yeah, if any one of these is kind of interesting to you, then you can always talk to us and we'll help you find the underlying data. Down below are some landscapes and lists. So list is, very clear, list of companies under a specific category or industry. And landscape is basically a list, but kind of divided into major categories within the list. And we will add and kind of change those over time. So always feel free to come back and check if there's anything new. Then at the very bottom of the create content page are our suggested searches, either related to, mostly to the different locations, but also some of the verticals that we wish to put a bigger highlight on. Any one of these links will take you to the appropriate data set. So for example, patented health techs, etc. With this as well, we're always happy to receive some feedback. If you feel that there's more searches that are missing here, or you have some insights, do feel free to get in touch, and I'll explain how to get in touch with us at the end of this demo. Another thing that we have on the New York State ecosystem, which we don't have on many, is a guide for the region. And again, this guide was written by our research team. It includes a lot of these charts as well, which of course update according to their own cadence, so either yearly, quarterly, etc. And you can really flip through and basically see what has been going on in the ecosystem. Here, once again, any comments, any ideas, we're always happy to receive them. These ones are always quite good. I think we need to update them a bit, or just we didn't change the text here. But these ones are always quite nice to look at and see how the ecosystem is basically built. All right, so all those are a little more static in a way that you go somewhere and you view some information. Now I would like to show you how you actually query and use Dealroom as a search engine for startups, investors, funding rounds, and a lot more. The first tool I'm going to show you is the companies tool. And up in here, what you can see is the top of the page where we have some drop downs with, again, some suggested searches that can take you quite quickly to a specific search based on a bunch of different categories. We have our free search bar where you can type in any keyword or anything, and I'm going to show you that in a second. And then on the right-hand side, we've got our cleared, so to clear all of the data points that we have, filter, export, which is not available through this platform. So I'm going to just ignore it later, and save to alerts. I'll start with the filters tool because for new users, it is extremely useful. Basically, you don't need to guess or try different keywords. You just need to scroll and pick the data points that you would like to see. Once you open the filters tool, you can see there's a lot of different categories of data points on the side. I'll review the ones that are most important, but again, do try this one on your own and see what different data points exist. The first one, which is also the by default one you're going to see, is the market and type, which includes anything from client focus and business models through industries and sub-industries. If we click the little arrow, obviously different industries for corporates and service providers, technologies, and then at the very bottom are the tags. And tags are quite interesting in our taxonomy because they can either relate to the company itself. So for example, this is an outside tech tag that is currently excluded. So the ones in red are excluded from the query because by default, we want you to see tech companies. But they can also relate to a company's technologies. For example, quantum. So anything related to quantum will have a tag. For example, women founders will have a tag. Spin-offs or spin-outs, as we call them, will have a tag. So feel free to try it out and see, try your own kind of favorite keywords and the areas that you're interested in and see what pops up. The next one I'm going to show you is the age data point. So age can mean either the year where the company was launched or the year where it's got its first seed round. We can also go by months if you want to be very specific. Size, anything from the growth stage of the company, number or range of employees, valuations, revenues, all the good stuff is there. Funding, in terms of total, last round in terms of amounts, and then the last one or has raised a specific round at any point in time in terms of the type of round. At the bottom, there's also the ownership of the company. Company status also. So usually we won't want to look at companies that are closed. We might at some point, but for now, the closed is by default excluded. By the way, to switch between including and excluding a data point, you first have to pick it. In our case, closed is already picked. And then you hover over it and switch between include or exclude. Usually you'll do it to exclude or to basically hone in your query on something else. Founders is another set of data that we have. Most interesting would be usually towards the bottom, where you can check out alumni of specific universities or all universities from a specific location, like a city. Previous companies that they've worked at, if you want to look at your Meta or Apple alumni, you can do that. And of course, what's their highest level of education? Are they a serial founder? And a lot more if you scroll back up. Then we also have data points for the UN SDGs. So anything related to climate, energy, food, if that's relevant, just pick the one that is relevant and the companies will appear. And we also track patents. Here again, you can just pick ones that have patents in general, I'll do that now. Or you can pick a specific patent category. Now, after I've went through all of this, I've picked data points that I would like to see. Then I'm just going to click apply. For now, all I did was add companies with patents. Everything else was the default, of course. So we exclude everything that is not tech. We exclude mature companies, exclude government entities, service providers. So basically, your default will always be tech companies, but now also the ones with patents. Once we're on a query that we've built, we can do a few things. Most important is to save it. So in order to save it, you do have to be logged in. Signing up is free, of course. And once you're logged in, you're able to save your query to the alert. You can call it Upstate NY patents, and you can click continue. This little pop-up will tell you that the search has saved, and I will show you where to find it in a bit. Another thing you can do is you can resort the table with any of the columns, really. Would you like to look at the youngest company? You can do it. You want to look at the one with the highest valuation? You can do that. So by default, they're sorted by the DRM signal, which I'll explain a bit more about when we go into a company profile, but you can always resort them through any of these columns. What you can also do is click the landscape button here, and this will auto sort these companies based on the data point that you see up here. So by default, this is industries, but I can also choose something like technologies, and then it resorts them a little differently. Sub-industries, business models, all of that. That gives you a very quick highlight of, okay, here are the companies in a certain category, and then you might also want to just click that category, and it will be added to your query. So you only see these ones. And we can return to the table view by clicking table here. On a company profile, oh, actually before that, one thing I forgot is the free search bar works just like the filters. So you can type in anything here, for example, fintech, and you'll be able to, a little menu always pops up a couple of seconds after you type anything. And you can pick the fintech industry, for example, or you can look at investors that have fintech in the name, or again, tags that are related. But what I do want to show you is this one, where it says Smart Sector Match. I'm going to click it. And what this does is this is an AI powered tool, which basically scans through the company's description and name. And if that matches the idea of fintech, then this company is going to be added to your results here. Another way to use this keyword feature is once you've typed in a keyword, or 2 or 3, that works as well, you can hover over it and you can flip between Smart Sector Match to Exact Keyword Match. And this one, super straightforward. If the word fintech, in our case, is in that company's description or name, then it's going to show up. My recommendation always is to try and flip between the two and see what works better. All right, let's now go into a company profile. Let's just pick the first one. So we can see on the company profile, up top, we will have our general information about the company, including website and some links. We will have our tags for them. Dark blue tags would be the big stuff like technology and industry. And then the light gray ones would be a little more specific to the technology, or indeed, as I mentioned, to the company itself. So spin out or women founders would be in the light gray as well. On the right-hand side of this, again, we will have our deal room signal. And this is basically a dynamic smart indicator of the level of interest a company should generate from different points of view. If you hover over it, you see it's built out of 4 different components. Each one has a different weight, so it's not a direct strict average. And the first 2 are a little more static. So completeness is the amount of data we have about the company. And the founding team is who they are in terms of education, experience, etc. The bottom 2 are much more dynamic. Growth rate is employees over time, and timing is funding over time. Now, timing works in reverse to all the others, where when a funding round is recorded, then the timing score is going to go down to 0, and it will slowly be built back over time until it reaches 100 again within 18 to 24 months, of course, assuming no further funding has been received. In this case, you can see the timing score is very low, and this is because this company has not just a couple of months ago, received quite a hefty round C. So that makes perfect sense to me. And the growth rate, however, is very high. So if I scroll down, what I would expect to find is quite a nice increase in the employee number, which is right here, which pretty much tells me what I need to know. Under this analytics, by the way, you can also flip to web visits to see, to just gauge the public interest in this company. Quite good lately, which makes sense if they just received a big round. We also have their tech stack. We have the people, right? Usually your founders and CXOs, but sometimes also board members. We have our company description, which is where we get our keywords, news, funding history, of course. Notes, this company doesn't have any notes. So if you, for example, go and check it out, then you won't see this one. But if it did have a note, like one from our analysts, or as I mentioned, the company itself maybe claimed their profile and uploaded their pitch deck, then you'll be able to see it here. Another really interesting thing is about patents. So you can always look at patents either as a heat map or as a table view, and then you can also see dates, status, territories, all of that. And of course, the people. Some reason there's only one, probably a caching issue. Couple of things you can do when you're on a company profile. The first one is you can save it to a list. So I'll click save. And then if I already have lists, then I can add it to an existing list, or I can create a new list and just give it a name, my companies or whatever, and save it. The second thing you can do is if you feel that this company profile is missing some information or you'd like to know more. So for example, I think that we could probably add some more gray tags here. There's probably more to put here. So what you can do here is click the 3-dot icon, click Request Enhancement, and then jot down something like, hi, can you see if there are more gray tags to be added? Basically, yeah. And I hit Request Update. And that goes directly to our data team. And in a couple of days, they'll check it out and revert back to you with whatever it is that they've found. Now, I've shown you how to save a query, and I've shown you how to save a list. Where do we find these things? So if I go to the very top of the page, right next to my picture, I'll see this heart icon. If I hover over it, it'll say Activity Center, and I'm going to click it. This is my Activity Center. By default, I will see my saved searches. For example, the one that we just saved right now is here at the top. And I can, of course, revisit it. So this is a hyperlink back to my search. I can see what type of entities the search is about, so companies or people, etc. I can see the amount of results. I can hover over and see what filters I used. I can rename it, delete it, and I can activate the new matches alert, which lives here under my alerts, where if I, let me refresh the page, probably load a little better. Does want to collaborate, so corroborate. Yeah, probably because I'm with my super admin account, so maybe it doesn't work quite well, but let's try just this one. Yeah, it's probably because I'm on a specific platform, but for you guys, it will show all of your alerts because they're all saved within the confines of this platform. Our lists also live here, so every list that we've saved, we can revisit. or delete if we wanted to. Next thing I want to show you is the investor search page. This one, very similar to the company search page. So we've got our free search bar, we've got our filters, save to alerts. So all of that exists. And this shows investors that are involved in your ecosystem. So not necessarily ones that are located in it, but involved in it. Obviously, you can see the first one. Clicking an investor profile, let's pick this one, will, because this is also a company. I actually wanted to show you an actual investor, probably this one. Yeah. So this will tell us all about this investor. So locations, LPs, unicorns they've invested in, notable investments, or indeed their entire portfolio. Portfolio analysis, right? Where you can see they're mainly invested, well, mainly a lot of their investments in the US, and as well as a lot of data about their funds, notes. Here we do have notes, so you can read them, the people, of course, and you can actually check out their portfolio, their entire portfolio. But of course, we're interested in Upstate New York, so we can always Upstate New York. We can always basically refilter for Upstate New York. We can just smart sector match, or we can use the filters to do it by geography from this location. And then under custom regions, which is not something you would usually use on the company's page because it's all geo-limited to Upstate New York. But for this one, you can go ahead and try and do that from here. So filters, locations, and then use custom regions for Upstate New York or locations for a specific city. Yeah. Next up, we also track universities, for example. So under universities, you can check out their specific profile, including their alumni companies, their alumni people, their spinouts, and much, much more. Accelerators are also tracked. An accelerator profile is very similar to an investor profile, so you can check out their portfolio, etc. Also governments and service providers, so anything related to that that is relevant for the tech ecosystem is also tracked. Under transactions, we've got two options. We've got funding rounds or exits. They both work pretty much the same, of course, with a different data set. So what we can see here is one, we have an analytics tool that we can use. The top row here allows you to choose between different basic data points. For example, we can use investors types or company locations, or investor locations. We can flip between amounts and a number of rounds, for example. We can obviously change the time frame, for example, from yearly to quarterly, and we can play with the scale. We can also filter either free search or from the filters here, very much like I demoed for the companies. So again, if I use fintech and this time pick the industry, then I'll see all the fintech rounds that we have. If I want to examine a specific time frame, I'll click the appropriate bar, and then you see here up top, the query has been updated. And then here below is the list of funding rounds from that specific time frame within that specific industry. Exits works exactly the same, just with exits data. Then we have our investment heat map. So our investment heat map is, again, kind of a macro level tool to allow you to view investments through multiple lenses. So the default one you see is by the regions, and we can flip here between amounts and, again, number of rounds. Any one of these little numbers is a hyperlink back to the funding rounds page that I've just shown you. We can play with the time frame, of course, and we can also change it to bar chart and a graph just to have a better view of what's going on. There's also other options here and suggestions. So for example, we can view it by city. We can view it by industry, right? So seed rounds, etc. So all of these things are here for you to try and to see what works and what looks nice. The last item on the menu is our matching tool. This is really geared towards founders or people who are helping founders look for investors. And the way it works is quite simple. All you have to do is find a company here in the database. For example, let's go and pick these guys, Impel, and click it. Now, you see already results are being generated, but I need to do a couple more things. So I need to indicate the amount of money I'm looking to raise. Let's go 30 mil for a round B. You can also indicate a specific investor type, but that's not really mandatory. And what you'll get here is a list in card form of the most appropriate investors for the company based on its information and data and tags, and the size of funding round, the type of funding. And you can see here, we will tell you why this is a good match, right? They invest in that bracket. They're active, which means they've invested in the last 12 months, and they invest in the same round type, country, or just relevant, which is companies similar to this company. This list is global, of course, again, not limited to upstate New York. And this is how we can basically look for, good opportunities with appropriate investors. The list, by the way, is global, so you can see there's tons of results, but the best matches are at the top. So I would go for the first 10 or 15 and see what I come up with. Going back to here for a second, in the top search bar here, works kind of like a Google search, but you do need to be precise with what you're looking for. So typing in the name of a company, an investor, a person should usually give you that specific profile. For example, let's look at the same company here, Impel. Here they are. Or you can also, of course, try out different things like different locations. So you can use the different city names, etc. So this is for you guys to try and see what you come up with. A couple of final things. Once you're logged in, you'll also be able to see our chat in the bottom right corner. Our chat team is live every workday until around now, which is noon your time. So feel free to get in touch with them if you have any questions. If it's past their working hours, then they're gonna just reply the next morning, our morning. So don't be afraid to leave a message if need be. And yeah, I think that's pretty much that. I'm sure there are many questions. So yeah, let's open the chat and see what we've got.
Well, thank you so much, Alan. Well, a start, John Nolan on the early on asked, he doesn't see anything on optics as an option for industry sector. If it's not there, is it something that we can add?
So our taxonomy, in terms of industries, basically everything except tags is pretty much set. But a tag can always be added, and I'm pretty sure there's an optics tag. I'll be very surprised if there isn't one. There we go. So many optics tags. So if you don't see something on the checkboxes and drop downs, then it'll probably have a tag. If it doesn't have a tag, you can always just use a keyword, right? So optics, enter, and then I'm also on the smart sector match. So everything around optics is here, or I can switch to direct keyword and I can see who has optics in their description. So that's the way to do it. If you strongly feel that optics should be an industry or a sub-industry, then again, you can always tell us via the chat and we will take that into consideration.
Thank you. Let's see, we've got a new question. Oh, John said great. Alan, would you mind walking us through the initial dashboard, which shows the regions in upstate New
Yep,
York? And I think this would be beneficial for folks that are tracking data in the regions.
sure. So this is the dashboard, and on the map, you can basically click the region. So in our case, this one. And then from here, well, you get some data already. And of course, as I mentioned, everything is clickable. So one, if I hover over something, I'll see some data. But two, if I click it, then it'll take me, for example, to the funding rounds back, right? I can also click the number of companies, and then that will take me to the companies page, etc. So this is how to use the map. And then, yeah, if we're looking at a specific region, that would be the best thing. Just click your region and then click data point you would like to see, and that will take you to that page. And what you can also do then is just save it and just call it, in our case, yeah, West New York companies. And then if there's a new company that pops up, then you'll be able to see it through your activity center. But
Great. Any other questions? And at this point, we welcome you to turn off your microphone. You are welcome to ask either openly or in the chat. And also, feedback is incredibly important because this tool
mhm,
really needs to work for the community.
correct.
I guess I'll kick us off. So, Alan, thank you for that. That was good. One question I noticed between kind of last year's presentation and this year's, there's been some changes. I think one of the ones I noticed is the investor set is a little bit broader. For example, I
Mhm.
think it used to only be investors that were in New York. So, can you just talk a little bit about the process deal room is doing to kind of upgrade things as time goes on?
Sure, sure. So we're currently in the process of not rethinking, but basically seeing how we can make these platforms even more useful. There's a couple of avenues we're examining, but in general, most of the different tools you see here keep getting updated all the time. So the keyword feature I demoed, for example, that was not there last year, especially the smart sector match. That's pretty new. Same thing with a little thing which I don't know if any of you noticed, but when I was on a company profile, there's this Ask AI thing. You guys will not see it now. It's not available for users yet, but this is basically a little helper that can tell you anything about a company based on the data we have. So that's another thing we're doing to improve. Another thing that we've done really was a big focus in 2025 is about people data. So we've added a lot of people that are not necessarily your founders or CXOs, but also heads of research and people who are critical for specific technologies. So that aspect of the data is a lot better now. And in terms of the features themselves, what you see here is the exact same features as they are on our global data platform, right? Obviously, that one has a few features that are not available here just because of the size of the global tech ecosystem. Then we can do some macro level features that don't work quite well in smaller ecosystems. But any update gets rolled to everyone at the same time. So our platforms never lag behind our global data platform, so to speak. But yeah, that's pretty much that.
Great. Does anyone else have any questions? Alan, for incubators, accelerators, organizations, innovation hotspots around the
Yeah.
state that do have a large portfolio, how would you
Mhm.
recommend working with Upstate Capital as well as Deal Room to ensure that that data, that profiles are claimed by founders and
Yeah.
that data, can they do it in mass upload? How does that work?
Yeah. So there's two things at play here. One, we're always happy for accelerators, incubators, etc., to share their data with us. You can do that through the chat as well. You can basically send us an Excel file, with the details that you can share about the company. The minimum that we need is a name and a URL. So don't feel like you have to share anything more than that. But we do need a URL. So if a company does not have a website yet, they should get one. Otherwise, we won't be able to build a profile for them. So that's one thing. If you think you can go one step beyond and actually become a bigger data partner with us, maybe you're a part of a larger organization or you have a lot of activities, then click here under becoming a partner. And someone being me, because I'm also in charge of this initiative, will be in touch with you to discuss this partnership. It is not paid, by the way. This is data for access. So you will not be asked to pay anything. Then with regards to claiming the profile, basically any startup, any company on our database can claim their profile. The way to do that is simply to sign up, because we will match their email with the company database. And if there is a match domain-wise, then they will automatically be prompted to claim their profile. If not, then they can always use our chat to ask for assistance, and we will help them claim their profile. Once they do that, then they can get access to this edit profile tool, which will allow them to edit basically anything about themselves. Of course, we verify all of that, right? We don't want anyone to add some multi-billion valuation on themselves if it's not not the correct one. But they'll also be able to upload pitch decks, etc. What's important to remember here is that just as the features you see here are the same features as in a global app, the profiles and the data is exactly the same. So it's actually the same profile. You're just viewing it through the lens of the Upstate New York platform, which means that if a startup chooses to claim its profile and upload something like a pitch deck, or you just make sure that their data is super precise, that makes them all the more attractive to investors from anywhere around the world who are using our global data platform to scout for investments. So yeah, that's a big thing and something they should definitely take advantage of. And then, of course, once they've signed up and they've claimed their profile and they made sure it's all correct, then the matching tool will obviously work a lot better, because the data that we'll have to match with will be that much more precise.
Great. Excellent. Alan, how do we get in touch with you specifically for questions, or, as you had mentioned, if people have critical feedback as to either how to make this tool
Yeah.
stronger, maybe streamlined? Yeah.
So
Peter, you might want to.
yeah. Testing. All right, cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah. So honestly, the best thing to do is use our chats. Just because they reply and respond the fastest, and this is also part of their job, to collect feedback, to help users. So use them. Otherwise, if you really want to talk to me, then Shelby, feel free to share my email with the participants of this session, and I'm always happy to help. Might be a little slower than the 42-second response time that our chat has, last time I checked, but I will respond. So you can go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm adding my email to the chat function. Your feedback is welcome from everyone. I want to remind everyone again, this tool is free for the public to use. Whether it's a company seeking investment, whether it's an investor seeking a company, whether it's an ecosystem partner working to aggregate and show the power and impact of the work that they are doing, whether in their program or in their region. And as we saw from that initial heat map in the dashboard, it really is showing and aggregating activity. But ultimately, this tool is going to be as much stronger if we are able to collect data for it. So yeah, if we don't have any other questions, like I said, my email is in the chat feature. Oh, I will be responding to everyone and oh, takeaways from this meeting. Great. Um, Provide feedback on the suggested searches and content on the Invest New York platform. Explore the Invest New York platform and say relevant searches and data, and then the full summary. Are there any active campaigns driving traffic to this tool? And I would say right now it is the marketing for the uh, Upstate Capital Association, as well as our monthly investor deal digest. That's really for our members. But, you know, as you may or may not realize, I am our team, myself, as well as Thomas Boomhauer, are relatively new to the organization. So we are ramping this up, and this is obviously a top priority for us to make sure that there's broad awareness and adoption of the Invest New York tool. One more question. Would love to understand how everyone is looking to use this tool. What are the different types of value propositions for everyone on the call? And, whether you want to put it in the chat or email us privately after we send out the meeting recording, feel free to do either. Nancy? Oh, you were on mute. Okay, well, we are almost at the top of the hour. So I'd like to thank everyone for their time. And we look forward to working with you. If you need additional training or information, please don't hesitate to reach out to the Upstate Capital team, either Thomas or myself. And, if we need to do a deeper dive with Alan, we can do that as well. But I'd like to thank you for your time. I'd like to thank Invest New York again, Jennifer Teagan and her team, as well as Griffiths Institute for their support. So thanks a lot. And y'all have a great day. Hi, Judy.
Bye,
Take
everyone.
care. Bye bye.